This is Top Accolade African News. I am Soibifa Jakarich. Nigerian Supreme Court has begun hearing the opposition challenge to the February 2023 presidential election results. The poll was won by Bola Tinubu, but his main opponents, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, wants the country's highest court to overturn the judgment of the Election Petition Court, which upheld Mr. Tinubu's victory. The legal challenge threatens to heighten tensions and continue the polarization of the country along political party lines. It may take a few weeks before the 7 judges of the Supreme Court panel make a ruling on the matter. If it upholds the decision of the lower court, that would be following a pattern seen in the previous elections in Africa's most populous nation, where a presidential election result has never been overturned, not unless Mr. Abubakar has said he would be presenting new evidence to the court relating to the debate over whether the president had presented a fake educational certificate to the Electoral Commission as proof of his eligibility. But Mr. Tinubu is opposing the presentation of new evidence. He is asking the court not to grant his opponent's application to introduce fresh and additional evidence to support the new claim. The Election Petition Court had earlier ruled that both opposition candidates had failed to prove that the election was flawed. The judges declared that the petitioners were unable to prove their case, that there had been overvoting and voter suppression. The European Union has begun steps to impose sanctions on members of Niger military junta 3 months after they took power in a coup. The EU Council announced on Monday that it had adopted a framework that will allow it to impose sanctions on individuals and entities responsible for actions that threaten the peace, stability, and security of Niger. The Council also said that the sanctions will apply to individuals who undermine Niger constitutional order, democracy, or rule of law, as well as individuals who commit human rights violations or abuses. The sanctions will include travel bans, asset freezes, and bans on the provision of funds to sanction individuals. With today's decision, the EU strengthened its support to West African Bloc, ECOWAS efforts, and sent a clear message. Military coup bear costs, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said. The EU, however, said that it would allow humanitarian exemptions to asset freeze measures. The European move follows the imposition of sanctions on Niger by ECOWAS and the suspension of aid by the US government. Kenyan President William Ruto has said that the country will not experience El Nino rain has been predicted. Citing a forecast by Kenya's Meteorological Department, the Meteorological Department has now said there will be no El Nino. We will only have heavy rains, but they will not reach a destructive level, Mr. Ruto said on Sunday. He urged Kenyans to use the new prediction of abundant rainfall to produce more food from famine to ensure that the country is food secure. The El Nino weather phenomenon occurs when sea surface temperature in the tropical eastern Pacific rise to about 0.5 Celsius above average. This ultimately releases more heat into the atmosphere, creating wetter and warmer air. Experts had warned that El Nino rain could hit Kenya and other East African countries from mid-October. Warnings from the heavy downpours could cause flooding, infrastructure damage, and possible deaths, prompted the Kenyan government to put the military on standby in case of emergencies. Kenya last experienced El Nino rain in 1997, which left a trail of destruction, especially to the roads. About 817 suspected cholera cases have been recorded in 3 Sudanese states, including 35 deaths, local media reports. The cases were reported in Gedarif, South Kordofan, and Khartoum states. Citing the World Health Organization (WHO), the UN last week said that months of conflict in Sudan had left millions of people at risk of cholera, dengue, measles, malaria, and other diseases without sufficient containment capacities. The WHO has also warned that the lives of over 9,000 kidney patients were in danger due to the limited number of dialysis centers in the country. Sudan's hospitals have been hit hard by the conflict between the army and a parliamentary force, with many stopping operations amid fighting. The conflict has killed over 9,000 people and displaced nearly 6 million others, according to the UN. That is the size of Top Accolade African News. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Monday.